Welcome to the Real Estate Fight Club, a podcast for agents where you'll witness a battle of opinions about topics affecting your real estate business. Now, always in your corner, here are your hosts, Jenn Murtland and Monica Weakley.
Are you struggling with what is the ideal path for you? What's next for you? There's so many options to try to figure out, and there's so many different ways that you could take your business, but it's all pretty confusing. So our coach, Coach John Kitchens, came up with a short little quiz that will help you figure out the ideal path for you. Go to realestatecareeraccelerator.com, take the free short quiz, and figure out your ideal path. That's realestatecareeraccelerator.com.
Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Fight Club. What is up, Jay Murta?
Ready to fight you. You ready for a black eye?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to break a nail. I'm not going to give you a black eye.
This one's more going to be like a 2x4 upside your head.
Wow.
That escalated quickly, didn't it?
It sure did. I'm scared of you.
I'm sorry.
Everybody's scared of me, but really they should be scared of you. You're a wolf.
I would never hurt you intentionally. All right, guys, we love that you're joining us here today. Thanks for subscribing and sharing to podcasts wherever you listen to podcasts. We love you guys. So today, Jen and I are going to duke it out over this question. Should you encourage your buyers to get an inspection on new construction? Should you encourage your buyers to get an inspection on new construction?
Well, I feel like this is a loaded question because you worked for a builder, yes?
Yes.
Oh,
Might carry some weight. I don't know.
this is being recorded.
Yeah, I hope he never hears this. No, I would say this no matter what. My answer is yes, you should. That just because it's newly built does not mean mistakes aren't made. It's part of an education process about the house. It's still, $400, $500, $600, $300, $700, $1,000,000, $1,000,000.
$1,000,000. Monica's good at math.
I love it when little kids make up little numbers like that. And that just came out of my mouth. I don't know how that happened. $1,000,000. So the answer is yes, because humans are working on the house.
But people, their builders are pulling permits and the contractors are pulling permits and stuff. So,
yeah, they're pulling permits on a lot of things like the electric and the plumbing and maybe an overall set of eyes from a county worker. But that person is not trained like a whole house inspector is.
I don't think a lot of whole house inspectors are trained.
Well, they are. A lot of them are.
Many of them are not even licensed.
They might be trained through the field and their experience.
Just like real estate agents are trained and the average is 4 houses a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. We know. You want to blow it up. Okay, we got that part. You want to blow up inspectors too?
Everything, the whole thing,
All
and
of
lending. And title.
I just don't think you can say to a buyer, you don't need to get an inspection. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's just like a real estate agent. Having a bad inspector won't do you any good, right? Just like having a bad real estate agent does no good. Having a good inspector makes sense. Having a good real estate agent makes sense. I also think that the buyers should not solely rely on the inspector if they decide to get one, or solely rely on the builder. They need to be there regularly looking and seeing what's going on and understand what's going on.
What if the buyer is not trained to analyze? Pre-drywall is something I always recommend. Pre-drywall inspection, right? So that the inspector can see what's going on, before it's all covered up. And then you might choose to do radon test, which, if you're going to be spending time in the basement, might be something your interest, is of interest to you. You could do air quality. Like there's all kinds of things you could have a roofer look at the roof. Just because a builder did it doesn't mean that it's good.
I agree. It's hard for me to argue with you on this, and I want to argue with you so bad because I just really like arguing. I don't care the topic.
But like in your heart, it's the right thing to do.
I do.
That's okay. That's okay. I like that you can try to argue the point because we get good facts out of that.
But okay, so then let's talk about, so we have to, I think we're both agreeing, yes, there should be a good inspector that takes a look at the house because that inspector represents the buyer and is protecting the investment of the buyer, right? So you're saying pre-drywall and after?
Yeah, you can do, a final look or pre-drywall only, maybe. It just depends on what your comfort level is and what your concerns are. I don't know if inspectors have a new construction product that they have, like a service where, yes, we come out at this point and then we come out at this point.
I don't know either. The only ones, it's just been normal. It hasn't been anything different.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll usually charge, like, you don't pay for like a full inspection pre-drywall and a full inspection during the walkthrough, right? But usually, like how I've seen it before, is before the final walkthrough with the builder, the inspector does their thing and the punch list is given. So then the builder has time to make the fixes, because you're doing the final walkthrough and you're marking everything that's wrong. Well, you want the fixes to be fixed by that time. So then you're just worried about paint and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right. I've had concrete issues pre-close.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen wiring issues pre-close.
Oh, wiring issues?
Mm-hmm.
How did that not get how did that get past permits?
That's the whole point. That's the whole point. You can't be careful enough,
I think that if you're spending $1 million on a house, a couple of $1,000s worth of inspections seems like a good investment to me.
Agreed.
It's hard for me to argue a good investment. And even though I'm not like an insurance person, this like to the everyday normal buyer, this feels right.
Yeah, I agree. And
I think it does depend on who your buyer is, though, right? It depends on where are they new to this process? Were they a builder? Like, were they a builder before? Like, who are they? And then what, like you said, what's their comfort level?
I totally agree with that. I think also, this isn't true for every builder because there are some very responsive builders. But if you wait until after you close, getting a hold of somebody to come back out and correct things is so much harder versus
you have a lot more leeway when they don't have the money.
That's right. So if there's no other reason than that, is just to make sure you get all the things you want handled prior to close.
Right. So I think when we come back, we're going to want to hear a story or two, Monica.
Okay, sure. Let's do it. Okay.
Okay. Let's take a break, hear a word from our favorite partners. And if you're an agent and you want to find out how to partner with Monica and I to help you grow your business so you can make a lot more money and have more free time without giving up a single penny or paying us any commission, call or text to schedule a convo.
What's
at 5.
Number?
I'm giving it to you.
Let's go.
513-400-1691.
All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Battle Inside of the Ring. Today we are talking about new construction inspections and how critical they are. And how, yes, you should be recommending them to your client because you have a fiduciary responsibility through the process to make sure they are getting what they paid for.
This could actually be a good video too. If you're looking for video content for your clients, interviewing the inspector and talking about this could be a good. Yeah. And our tiebreaker has some good info too. But Monica, what we want to hear is tell us a story.
Well, the one that stands out to me is there was like a concrete patio, like a pad out the back of the house, and it poured rain. And when we went in, unfortunately, the basement had been partially finished. the water was pooling at the back door and had seeped in, and there was already water in the basement. So that's obvious one that didn't really need an inspection. However, if it hadn't rained, that there is no way we visually would have.
How would the inspector have known?
Because they run hoses. They will check for grading. And I've had inspectors run hoses to see if the water is standing by the house or running away from it, if they suspect something.
CSI. You know how like always they see like one hair from a mile away and they like zero in like da da da.
So that really happened because I think we would have missed it. There was nothing telling us there was a problem back there.
Interesting.
Now, granted, it would have been probably handled by the builder had it happened after they moved in. But
but it's just better to know ahead of time. Why not?
Totally. I'm trying to think what else. Gosh, it's been a long time. That's the one that stands out to me because we just got really lucky that it rained that day. We were closing in like a week.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was good. I can't remember any other.
Well, if you have a story that you want to share with us, definitely put it on, put in the comments. I want to hear some good stories.
You need to hear. Yes, because your good story will help somebody remember to recommend this to a buyer.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Not much of a battle today, but I
tried. I just couldn't.
I know you couldn't because you knew I was right. I love it. All right. Do you guys agree? We really do want to know. If you like Jenn said, if you have stories, if you have an example, if you disagree and you just think it's a big waste of money, let us know that as well. All right. Go to our Facebook page, which is Real Estate Fight Club Podcast, or you can go to our Instagram or
TikTok, YouTube.
TikTok, don't stop. YouTube. You can also just reach out to Jenn and I directly. Love to hear from you.
All right. Thanks, Monica.
See you next time.
Bye. All right, I'm here with our tiebreaker, Brandon Thompson. He is the broker owner of STR Wealth Brokers out of North Georgia, Metro Atlanta. Hi, Brandon.
Hey, how are you today?
Good. I'm glad you could be on. So just for some background, you've been in all areas of life in real estate over your last 20 years, from wholesaling to investing to regular residential real estate to flipping to short-term rentals, long-term rentals. Did I miss anything?
No, other than I was like the #1 real estate agent for ERA for 3 years consecutively in 2004 to 2007.
Oh, those are good years. Good years.
Yeah.
But your tiebreaker question, I say all of that to say you have a lot of experience. So you are great for this question. Should your buyer get an inspection on their new construction home?
That is a good question. Yes, I believe that they should. I had an incident probably about 7 years ago. I've been retired from a traditional agent for the last 2 years, and I've just kind of managed my brokerage over the last 2 years. So I haven't practiced in a little while, but about 7 years ago, I had an experience with someone who was building a new construction home in a one of those neighborhoods that didn't get fully developed and built on from the 2008 recession. And he built a property, and it passed with the CO and things like that.
Okay.
But the buyer bought it and didn't have an inspection, and then all hell went loose. And I can expand on that if you want, but it was really, really bad. Yeah. So this poor lady, I thought I was going to get sued, but this poor lady bought this house, and of course I didn't know anything. We were just representing the seller on a one-off kind of spec build.
Okay.
He did a couple of them in this community afterwards.
So she had an agent, or she didn't have an agent?
She had an agent, and they did not do an inspection. I didn't represent her. We represented the seller. Unfortunately, I didn't realize it at the time, but the seller was kind of a schmutz, if that's a word. But
it is now.
Yeah, he was building a really, really poorly built products, and he was hiding stuff in the property, and we didn't know that at the time.
But it passed all the permits, and it passed everything.
just because something passes permits, that could be loose and regarding whichever municipality and whichever state you are in the entire U.S. Here in
Right.
Georgia, they've tightened up in the last several years, but for builders, they're more lax than they are with people who are remodeling houses for whatever reason. So with builders here in
That
the state of
seems
Georgia,
weird, right?
yeah, it does. It does. I think they're getting tighter now. I think they have
Okay.
passed some laws that have made it a little more strict. But
Mhm.
this lady, she had the home flooded. She had it wasn't laid out on the lot correctly. She had a lot of things shifting in the house. Her appliances
What?
weren't installed correctly. A lot of the stuff could have been found out by a home inspection, and she just wanted the home so bad to be in this neighborhood. And this neighborhood was extremely a nice neighborhood. And anyways, I lived in that neighborhood at the time, but this guy came to me because we were like the one kind of running that neighborhood,
Right.
350 homes or whatever, one of those planned communities, and he contracted with me for like 3 or 4 builds, and we represented him on that home, and it was kind of a crap show, honestly. So we walked away from that experience and feeling really, really bad about this buyer who didn't get an inspection. But I did walk away from representing the seller after realizing the inferior products he built.
Right.
Because I talked
Well,
to him
good for
about it. He's
you.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. I talked to him about it. He's just like, I don't care. I'm like, well, I don't want to work with an investor like that. He ended up fleeing from the neighborhood because he lived there too.
Oh
After he
my
got a bad reputation on these homes,
Yeah.
and he ran all the way to Florida somewhere. And unfortunately, this guy, he put, there was another lot that he was building up on, and he put a lot of his garbage and disposable trash in the lot, like you've heard of builders doing over the years. He bulldozed it and covered it up. So I mean, can you imagine the foundation that was sinking under that home? He was
Oh
cutting
my
every
God.
corner possible to cut down the fees and to make more
But
money.
what do
And
you think is like going through a buyer's head on why they wouldn't get an inspection if they would normally get one on another house, a different house, like a resale house?
yeah, and a resale house, it's older, whether it's 5 years old or 50 years old, it's older. So there must be something wrong, right? In their mind, there's got to be
Right.
something. And somebody's
Right.
lived here. I need to, look at that for my own kind of protection. But for a new construction home, they think that everything is regulated right by the
Yeah.
cities and municipalities. And sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. But builders screw up too. And builders may not be getting this thing permitted right and or
Mhm.
cutting corners.
Right.
And, I bought a new home when my wife and I got married, shortly after we got married 20 years ago. And we bought a property, and thankfully the builder was good, but we had multiple problems. We did have an inspection. We had a
Mhm.
lot of problems worked on. They fixed them for us, and then we bought the property, and there's a few things lingering on. In the state of Georgia, the builder has to warrant the property for 1 year, which
Mhm.
is interesting for sure. But yeah, I think the buyers, to answer your question, they just think that it's a new home, it's not going to have
And
any
it should be
problems.
fine. But yeah, and I think like, I mean, I can see why they would think of that, right? But if an
Mhm.
inspection, let's say, is give or take $600, $600 is worth the not like the safety of knowing that somebody else put their eyes on it, and somebody who knows put their eyes
Mhm.
on it. It's way better than getting into the house and your house sinking, which was how many thousands of dollars worth of damage?
Oh my God, tens or hundreds of thousands if it's
Yeah,
a
at least,
single
right?
home.
And
Yeah,
then you're trying to resell it. I mean, it's a total nightmare, right?
yeah,
So it's like, why not? Like,
right.
why not? I mean, we just did a new construction home. I represented the buyers.
Mhm.
They did have an inspection, of course. And there were things, I mean, there were probably 2 pages of things wrong. And not because the builder is bad, but just because that's what happens. It's a house.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
pretty normal, you
yeah, and
know?
and the subs at the GCs, basically the builders are general contractors. They are upheld kind of like we are as realtors,
Yeah.
with fiduciary duties. They're upheld by ethics too, but a lot of their subs don't care. And maybe the general contractor, the builder, doesn't know that the subs are cutting corners.
Right.
The builder I represented, I think he knew a lot more than he let on
Sounds like
to,
it.
but these
Hence the
subs could be cutting
fleeing.
corners.
You don't
Yeah,
flee
yeah,
from something you're not aware
yeah.
of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got a bad reputation quick on that one. Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. I don't want to get back out
No,
there
that's
somehow,
fine. No, I get it,
but
right?
but
Like that's it. Yeah.
But yeah. It's interesting. I would definitely recommend every realtor, if you're representing a buyer and or even if you're on the seller side, to encourage them to have an inspection to even protect your builder, because
Yeah.
there might be something wrong with the property that the builder doesn't know, and then a year later he or she could get in trouble and have
Mhm.
to fix something, and or worst case, in the state of Georgia where I'm at, you have a 3-year statute of limitations to
Right.
sue somebody. You don't want to get sued like 2.5
Yeah.
years later down the road, and you've already
Right.
forgot about it, made your
It
money, and moved
protects
on.
everyone.
Yeah, it protects everyone. It's better that way.
Yeah, I like it. Well, you said you've been retired for a couple of years now from
Mhm.
traditional real estate. You got your brokerage going on.
Yep.
What else are you working on?
Well, I'm on my second brokerage. I sold my first brokerage back
Okay.
in 2014. I sold it
Okay.
to a friend of mine that I trained up, and he was a great salesman. I wasn't really passionate about it at the time because I was investing intensely, and I was doing a lot of flipping. So over the years, I retired from flipping last year, but I've done about 2,000 flips on and off with a business partner.
Nice.
Um, and outside of that, I acquired 100 long-term rentals,
Hmm.
as well as we currently have 25 short-term rentals. So what I'm working on right now is kind of like my personal branding and
Yeah.
educating realtors and just normal people to get real estate, because I think in the near future, give it 20 years from now, corporations and REITs and hedge funds are going to be owning a lot of real estate in the
Hmm.
U.S. And
I
we're
don't even
going
think it'll
from
take 20 years.
yeah, we're the American dream is to have home ownership, but right now there's so much money out there from all the quantitative easing over the years, with the low interest rates. People have thrown in money and they've been acquiring real estate like crazy. And
Right.
I've seen these hedge funds come along and they're putting them on their portfolio and driving rents up. Basically, these hedge funds are taking properties and taking them away from Americans, and now people can't realize the American dream. So
Hmm.
for your audience, for realtors, I highly recommend that they go out and invest in themselves while you're investing in others. Not only invest in your buyers or sellers and give them the best fiduciary duty
Right.
you can, but also acquire long-term rentals, acquire
Yeah. Build wealth for
short-term
yourself.
rentals. Yeah, build wealth for yourself. Like we all want to have a retirement.
Right.
So I mean, I think in 20 years,
So if
we
people want to learn more about how they can invest in real estate, or
Mhm.
they're, interested in talking to you further, or they have a referral maybe for somebody on your team, how can they get a hold of you? How can they get into your world?
Yeah. Best thing to do is just to reach out to me at Brandon G. Thompson on Instagram. We teach a lot in short-term rentals. That's kind of what I'm passionate about right now.
Hmm.
I also have my brokerage, STR Wealth Brokers. But if you want to reach out to me directly, I'm open to talk to anybody. It's at Brandon G. Thompson on Instagram. I think that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
And we're teaching people how to invest in themselves, not just their clients.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you being our tiebreaker. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, you're welcome.
What we need right now is a source for great leads, and I found it. It is called Pipeline Pro Tools. So, about 90 days ago, I booked a demo with them. And in that demo, we reverse engineered my business. We figured out how many leads we needed to get in order to get to the closings that we want. And they gave me a playbook to use in order to get that. So I've been using it for 90 days. We've gotten 12 qualified leads, and about half of them are already under contract or closed, which is great. And it is right now my number one source for my best leads that I'm getting. I love this thing. I'm about to ramp up the number of leads that I get with them as well. So, and you might think it's expensive, and it's not. So I was looking for something that's very inexpensive, like affordable to everyone, but also generated great leads. We don't want crap leads. So what you do in order to get this, because I called them and I wanted to partner with them because I was like, this is exactly what our audience has been looking for. So they set up something specific just for us, just for Fight Club listeners. So you would go to pipelineprotools.com/Fight Club. And then you go to the demo, and the demo will show you how many leads you need in order to get the number of closings that you want to get. And then they will give you the playbook that I'm using, my number one playbook for getting leads. And then you can use it too, and we can have happy closings. So go to pipelineprotools.com/Fight Club, book and go to the demo and get all the leads. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a podcast.